McCartney took over on bass at Sutcliffe, decided to stay in Hamburg and Best, replaced with drummer Ringo Starr, and this completed the four-piece lineup that would remain to the group's breakup in 1970. First single, Love Me Do, was released October 1972 and reached number 117 on the British charts. They recorded their debut album, Please Please Me, in under 10 minutes on February 11, 1963. A day when Lennon was suffering the effects of a cold, which is evident in the vocals, to record on the song Twist and Shout. Lennon McCartney's songwriting partnership yielded his 14th track, with a few exceptions, one being on the album title itself. Lennon had yet to bring his love of wordplay to bear on the song lyrics, saying, "We were just writing songs, pop songs, with no more thought of them than that, to create a sound, and the words were almost irrelevant." In an '87 interview, McCartney said that the other Beatles idolized Lennon. It was like our own little Elvis. We all looked up to John. He was older and he was very much the leader. He was the quickest wit and the smartest. The Beatles achieved mainstream success in the UK early in '63. Lennon was on tour when his first son Julian was born in April. During their Royal Variety Hour performance, which was attended by the Queen Mother and other British royalty, Lennon poked fun at the audience. For our next song, I'd like to ask for help. For the people in the cheaper seats, clap your hands, and the rest of you, if you'll just rattle your jewelry. After a year of Beatlemaniac in the UK, the group's historic February 1964 U.S. debut appearance in the Ed Sullivan Show marked their breakthrough international stardom. A 2-year period of constant touring, filmmaking, and songwriting followed, during which Lennon wrote 2 books in his own right and Spaniard in the works. The Beatles received recognition from the British establishment when they were appointed members of the Order of the British Empire in 1965 Queen's Birthday honors. Lennon grew concerned that fans attended Beatles concerts were unable to hear the music above the screaming of fans. In the band, musicianship's beginning to suffer. As a result, Lennon's helped express his own feelings in 1965. "I meant it. It was me singing help. It had put on weight," he would later refer to as Fat Elvis period, and felt he was subconsciously seeking change. In March that year, he and Harrison were unknowingly introduced to LSD when a dentist hosted a dinner party attended by the 2 musicians and their wives, spiked their guests' coffee with the drug. When they wanted to leave, the host revealed what they had taken and strongly advised not to leave the house because of likely effects. Later, in a lift in a nightclub, they all believed it was on fire. Lennon recalled, "We were all screaming hot and hysterical." In March '66, during an interview of Evening Standard Maureen Cleavage, Lennon remarked, "Christianity will go, it will vanish and shrink. We're more popular than Jesus now. I don't know which will go first, rock and roll or Christianity." The common one, virtually unnoticed in England, but caused a great offense in the U.S. when quoted by a magazine. Their 5 Months later, the referral was followed, which included the burning of Beatle records, the KKK activity, and threats against Lennon contributed to the band's decision to stop touring. After the band's final concert of August 29, 1966, Lennon filmed the anti-war black comedy How I Won the War, and his only appearance in a non-Beatles feature film before rejoining his bandmates for an extended period of recording beginning in November. Lennon had increased his use of LSD, and according to author Ian MacDonald, his continued use of the drug in '67 brought him close to erasing his identity. The year 1967 release of Strawberry Fields Forever, hailed by Time magazine for its invectiveness, and group's landmark album, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, which revealed lyrics by Lennon contrasted strongly with the simple love songs with the group's early years. In late June, the Beatles performed Lennon's All You Need Is Love as Britain's contribution to the Our World satellite broadcast before an international audience tabulated up to 400 million, intentionally something of its message. The song formalized its pacifist stance and provided an anthem of summer of love. After the Beatles were inducted to the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, the group attended the August weekend of the personal introduction of his transcendental meditation seminar in Bulgar, Wales. During the seminar, they were informed by Epstein's death. "No, we were in trouble then," Lennon said later, "but I didn't have any misconceptions about our ability to play other than play music. I was scared. I thought we fucking had it bad now." McCartney organized the group's first post-Epstein project, the self-written, produced, and directed television film Mystery Magical Tour, which was released in December that year. While the film itself proved to be their first critical flop, its Soundcrest released, featuring Lennon's Lewis Carroll-inspired I'm the Walrus, was a success. I'm the Walrus, Goo-Juba. Led by Harrison and Lennon's interest, the Beatles traveled to Maharshi's ashram in India in February 1968 for further guidance. While there, they composed most of their songs for their double album, The Beatles, but the band members' mixed experiences with transcendental meditation signaled a sharp diverse in the group's camaraderie. On their return to London, they became increasingly involved in business activities with its formation of Apple Corp, the multimedia corporation composed of Apple Records, several other subsidiary companies. Lennon described the venture of an attempt to achieve artistic freedom within a business structure. Released amid the protest of '68, band's debut single for the Apple label included Lennon's B-side "Revolution," in which he called a plan rather than committing to the Maoist revolution, adding to the tensions of the Beatles recording session that year. Lennon insisted on having his new girlfriend, later wife, the Japanese artist Yoko Ono, beside him, thereby confiscated the band's policy of regarding wives and girlfriends in the studio. He was especially pleased with his songwriting contributions on the double album, and identified that as superior work to Sgt. Pepper's. At the end of '68, Lennon participated in the Rolling Stone Rock and Roll Circus, a television service that was not broadcasted. Lennon performed with the Dirty Mac supergroup, composed by Lennon, Eric Clapton, Keith Richards, and Mitch Mitchell. The group also did a vocal performance by Yoko Ono. The film version was released in 1996. In late 1968, Lennon's increased drug use of growing preoccupation with Ono combined with the Beatles' inability to agree on how the company should run left Apple need to professional management. Lennon asked Lord Beeching to take on the role, but he declined. After Lennon going back to making records, Lennon was approached by Alan Klein, who had managed the Rolling Stones and other bands during the British invasion. In early 1969, Klein was appointed by Apple's chief executive, Lennon, Harrison, and Starr. But Paul McCartney never signed a management contract. Lennon and Ono were married March 20, 1969, and soon to release a series of 14 logographs called The Bag One. This says depicting scenes from their honeymoon, in which is deemed indecent, of most were banned and confessed. Lennon's creative continued moved beyond the Beatles between 1968 and 1969. He and Ono recorded 3 albums of experimental music together. Unfinished One, number 1, 2 versions, other more than its cover than for its music. Unfinished Music, number 2, Love the Lions and Wedding Out in 1969. They formed their Plastic Ono band. Sorry about that. Released a single, Give Peace a Chance, which was wild, adopted as an anti-Vietnam War anthem. Cold Turkey, which documented his symptoms before he became addicted to heroin, and Instant Karma. In prospect of Britain's involvement of the Nigeria Civil War, its support name of America in the Vietnam War, and perhaps jokingly against Cold Turkey slipping down the charts. Lennon returned to MBE medal to the Queen. The gesture had no effect on his MBE status, which could not be renounced. The medal, together with Lennon's letter, is held at the Central Chancery of Orders at knighthood. Lennon left Beatles in 1969, September, but agreed not to inform the media while the group recognized their recording contrasted. He was outraged that McCartney's reaction was he was outraged that McCartney publicized his own departure, releasing his debut solo album. In April 1970, Lennon's reaction was Jesus Christ. He gets all the credit with it. He later wrote, "I started the band, I disbanded it. It's as simple as that." In a December 1970 with Jan Wenner of Rolling Stone, he revealed his bitterness towards McCartney, saying, "I was a fool not to do what Paul did," which was to use it to sell a record. Lennon also spoke to hostility he perceived the other members toward Ono and how he and Harrison and Starr got fed up with being sidemen of Paul. After Brian Epstein died, we collapsed. Paul McCartney took over and supposedly held us. And what is leading us only went round in circles. Solo career, 1970 to 1980. Solo career, 1970 and 1980 to 1980. Initial solo success and activism, 1970 to 1972. Between April 1st and September 15th, 1970, Lennon went to perinatal therapy with Arthur Janoff at Tinhurst in London at Janoff's clinic in Los Angeles. Designed to release emotional pain from early childhood, the therapy entailed 2 half-day week with Janoff for 6 months. It wanted to treat the couple for longer, but their American visa ran out. They had to return to the UK. Lennon's debut solo album, John Lennon plus Ono Band, 1970, was received with praise by many music critics, but highly personal lyrics and stark around the limited commercial performance. The album featured the song "Mother," which Lennon confronted his feelings of childhood rejection, and the Lennox working class hero has a bitter attack against the bourgeois social system, which, due to the lyrics, "You're still a fucking peasant," fell foul of broadcasters. In January 71, Ali expressed his revolutionary political views when he interviewed Lennon, who immediately responded of writing "Power to the People" in his lyrics to the song. Lennon reversed his non-confrontational approach when he in Revolution, although he later resigned "Power to the People" as saying it was born of a guilt and desire of approval in radicals such as Ali. Lennon became involved as protest against the persecution of Oz magazine for alleged obscenity. Lennon denied the proceedings as discussing racism, and he and Yoko, the Elastic Oz band, released single "God Save Us" to the Oz and joined marches in support to the magazine. Eager for major commercial success, Lennon adopted more accessible sound for his next album, Imagine. 71. Rolling Stone reported that it contained a substantial good portion of good music. It warned the possibilities that his posturing will soon seem not merely dull but relevant. The album's title track became an anthem for anti-war movements, while the song "How Do You Sleep" was a musical attack on McCartney response to the lyrics on Ram that Lennon felt. McCartney later confirmed and directed him at Yona. In Jealous Guy, Lennon addressed his long treatment of women, acknowledging his best behavior as a result of long-held insecurity.